Now these flashing red lights on the front here flash faster with more throttle. It's one of the cleanflight light functions which they've wired up to the front there. I'd rather see a light bar, to be honest. I mean, it's a little tacky and it's not very practical in flight, whereas the real light bar, that changes blue when you arm and it stays green otherwise. That's by default, and you can change all that. As I showed in the flight video, I've changed my switches around. It's default set up to here, but I really like it on the right hand side. It's just something I'm a lot more natural with. To get into there, hold down OK, down to functions, and then you need to go all the way down to auxiliary channels. Basically just change the source to SWC and it'll move across there to there. I've also changed whatever was there to A for my buzzer, which I haven't fitted yet, but I will do, and that's where that would be. When you've set that, you need to long press cancel, otherwise it won't save. And I've got angle mode set up on the top, and then I've got barometer set up tentatively because there's no tuning for that, so it's not going to be predictable. And then I've got Airmode set up on the third one. I've also slightly increased the rates as well because they were a little bit on the low side for me personally. Now the first thing I noticed with a quick hover inside is the lowest throttle amount is a bit high, to be honest. There's not much between not flying and travelling up. It's a fairly tricky one to hover on if you're not learning to hover. I mean, I can keep the height fairly well, but not as well as a lot of other quads that I'm flying. Now I'm going to try barometer out really briefly. It is actually, possibly. I was going to say it is actually keeping the height slightly better, but I'm not sure. I think it's only got that lowest throttle to deal with as well. So I mean, if it hasn't got a really low throttle to feather in there, I'm not sure the barometer is going to really perform that well. Now I've switched out of it because I don't trust that. So those are my rates at the moment in angle mode, and I made them quite a bit faster as well, so it's fairly sedate. I'm just going to switch through to rate mode. Much better. Now the lack of a really low throttle amount is going to become less of an issue when you're actually flying. But what felt relatively nicely tuned in a hover isn't. Very much isn't. I mean, it flies, but it's, yeah, it drops to the side when you're doing a funnel turn. The pitch isn't stable at all when you're letting on and off speed. These are just stock gains as usual. I mean, I'd like to really let rip at the moment, but this is not flying good. Yeah, as soon as you start really stomping on power, not feathering it on gently, it's doing a few leaning and twitching and what have you. Okay, and we lost the canopy. So this one really does need some tuning before I can let rip with it. That does not feel safe to really get rampant with. Now I don't have a laptop out with me at the moment, so I'm going to have to make another video with some fierce line of sight on it. With that wind, oh my god, that's not flyable in that wind. yeah, it's flying like one of my tune quads from like a year and a half ago or something. It's pretty shocking. So I think what I'm going to do with this one is just put Betaflight on it straight away, rather than try and tune what it's got on there, because it's not the most recent flight, cleanflight even. Recent flight? Or even version of cleanflight. I had the other Ideafly F210, and again that, it didn't fly as bad as that, but I tweaked the gains a little bit. Pitch just stays down there after a flip. It doesn't want to lift up. It just feels like it wants to ram itself into the floor. Okay, I think we'll stop flying this little guy now. It's not even easy to land with that lack of light throttle. And Airmode's going to twitch out, so you need to switch back out of Airmode as well. So I didn't really get a chance to stomp 100% throttle there. I might have just about touched it, but it didn't really gain momentum and show me how much speed it's got. But it's definitely got plenty of torque and plenty of speed on 4S. That's not a problem at all. Flight control is good. These Raptor ESCs, the Flycolors, I really like them. Don't think the Blheli S. In fact, I know they're not Blheli S. Sorry. But they've got a nice stopping function that if you do ram it into the tree somewhere and you've got Airmode on and it's trying to spin, these have been the fastest and calmest yet to just cut off after a second of trying to spin. They're not going to burn anything out. And certainly the other ones I've used were very much like that. So I'm quite fond of these ESCs, although I'd like to see Blheli S on there. These, I'm pretty sure, are Emax rebranded 2205 V2 race motors, which I have no problem with at all. They seem to be running fairly smooth. And these props, I've used these on red bottoms and I wasn't that impressed, but a couple of friends used them on various stuff and they're really quick. On here it certainly didn't feel like it was retarding performance at all. I'll probably try 3S just briefly, and I've also got some bullnose as well, but I'm not even going to risk bending them until this is slightly better tuned really. Let's try 3S for a sec. Oh, and round here, hair tie. It needs something over this. That's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, fair enough, race quads want to fly forwards, but that was coming off on like a funnel turn, which, nah, that's ridiculous. Needs some kind of fixing down. See, on 3S in stabilized mode, that feels super sedate, calm, predictable. Even the low throttle issue isn't really an amount. Really an amount? Yeah, even the low throttle isn't a problem. unless you really stomp it. There's plenty of resolution there on 3S to fly normally, hover and what have you. In fact, yeah, I mean, I'd guess that would probably fly quite nice on 4S from that, but no. Okay, I'm going to leave the barometer and get that off my switch as soon as I get home, but try rate mode in 3S. No. No, the eye is way out. I mean, I'm not a tuning guru, but that's just slapping around on cyclic when I'm adding and taking away power and turning. I stick all three in and it's not predictable at all. Oh look, the canopy came off. That's novel. See if I can put it back on. That's rate mode, air mode, and it's leveling up on itself, which means it needs loads more eye. But it does fly better in 3S, but it's still really bad. It's not good unless you're just gently gliding along. So if you really did intend to race with this, and you can't tune, or you can't find some good gains out there, you're going to need to put beta flight on it or tune it yourself. I'm tempted to try my other F10 PIDs because the motors are really similar. Yeah, does not like it. Call that a day for the maiden. Get some upgraded firmware or tuning on this one, and then come and give it a thrashing and see what all that power's about, because it's certainly got it, but it won't let me have it yet, not without wanting to climb through the floor to Australia.